I thought I had seen everything in my construction experience until I saw how a 3D printer is building a house. Layers of concrete were emerging in front of my eyes. So I decided to visit this construction site and ask them tough questions. Is it safe? Can we use this technology for my or yours building project? How too difficult use this technology? Let's check it out.
Well, thank you for being with me again today, Igor. I think we've made a bunch of progress, and I'd love to show you around.
Ryan, I have a bunch of questions because I saw how it's built when it was building process, but now I don't understand how you install electrical part, plumbing part, mechanical part, and installation. How you do installation inside of wall, outside of wall? Because in wood technology, it's very easy. We have frame, we install insulation here, and that's it, and cover with drywall. How you do here?
No, that's a bunch of good questions, Igor. Thank you for asking. One of the big things about the concrete construction is that you're trying to aim for efficiency with everything. So that it all starts with a double wall, and there's a double wall that goes through each of these layers, which leaves a gap in the middle. And that gap in the middle is about 9 inches, so about like this.
Okay.
And then at each layer, you have a lengthwise bar and a horizontal bar that keeps everything together. So that gives you your space, it gives you a cavity all the way around as you walk through. And with that cavity, what you can do is you can pre-do the plumbing, and then you can cap it off and continue with your print. Similarly, with the electric, you can do the different outlets that you see, and then you run the wire up through that space in the wall, and you can connect it wherever you need on the roof level. So that makes it a lot easier, a lot more efficient in that way.
Okay, this distance 9 inches between two layers here. Who does define what the distance should be between two walls?
Okay, so we worked with a structural engineer, and the structural engineer was saying that gives you the side-to-side strength and shear weight, and so that's how it needs to have a minimum. And then as far as a maximum, there was no real need to go thicker, because if you have that 9-inch gap, that gives you enough for your 2 or 3 inch pipe, your electric, and then the foam spray insulation. And that foam spray insulation, you really don't need any more to make it a high R value and really good at energy saving.
Okay, what kind of insulation you use? It's open or closed foam?
We use the open cell, and we do that after we finish printing all the layers and we start putting the roof on, and then you can spray that in afterward.
Do you use insulation inside of interior walls?
We do the interior and the exterior both.
Oh, nice.
And it's a little bit overkill. We probably don't need to do that much, but we wanted to make sure that our first couple of houses were overbuilt and extra strong. And you can also see that we did the steel roof here, which is probably not necessary.
How you integrate wood metal technology with 3D printing?
Marrying together two technologies. So for each of the layers between the concrete, you have an epoxy that's a very super strong epoxy, and that gives you all your bonded layers. And then you do the same thing with the lintels over the doors, to where you place that on as the layers printed, and then you can have epoxy on top, and then you print over it. So you have a sticky layer as well as the strength that gets printed as it's put in. It's like an L-beam.
L-beam, yeah? You use it for like header. After that you put 3D material is concrete.
Yes, so you print around that steel, so it creates a lip, and then the print goes around the lip based on the computer file, and that gives you an exact couple millimeters all the way around.
You need to install special additional frame, or we can, if you, for example, use windows, aluminum windows, can we install this without this lumber, or we need to install board after that?
What we found was the best way to get the flush against the wall seam and to get this seal here was that wood actually works a lot better to put the screws into the concrete. And so this is what we found works the best so far. We're looking for alternatives, and hopefully we can find something eventually, and right now this seems to be working pretty well.
Ryan, can we pay attention to the plumbing details? Because I notice you have plumbing pipes for island, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Usually we install it like a rough plumbing inside of foundation, but it's very interesting for me and for our viewers how to install plumbing and the walls.
Yeah, so as you noticed, the plumbing gets done and then roughed in here when we do the slab pour. And then in a lot of ways similar to a traditional build until you get to the wall. And that's where you have the options because of that gap that we talked about to run the plumbing through the wall. Yeah. And if we walk over here, so yeah, Igor, as you can see here, we rough cap this as you do in a traditional build. And that happens right after the slab, or right with the slab pour. And then the other option you have is to run it behind some of the framing walls here. And that would be more of your traditional approach. And then finally, since we have that gap in the walls themselves, all of this space behind the wall is an option to run your plumbing.
Are you installing plumbing during the printing, or you install it after it printed?
So yes, that's a very big benefit, is that we can cap it and then leave it alone until the end. And so right here for this one, it was difficult to get these first 2 feet because you have the printer that's going like this, and it'll hit this if you don't have the right type of file setup. But then once you get above that level, you can continue as normal. And then at the end, you reach your 9-foot height and you can come in and connect the plumbing in the wall.
Did you install this one after printing or before?
We installed the hoses in the middle of the print. So what we did is we got to about halfway up on the height, and then you can run the tube through, and then that can just stay out of the way until you're ready to take it up to the roof, and then you already have the rat run ready to go.
And it was installed before you spray foam inside?
Yes.
Before. Okay, this process is important, step by step.
Yeah, definitely. So at the beginning, we didn't have many tradespeople in, and it was mostly the print. And then once we finished the print, the nice thing about doing it this way is you could get all the different trades in on the same day. So you could have the plumber working at the same time as the electrician and the roofer, and all these people could work simultaneously and not get in each other's way. And that worked really well.
Okay, how long time you print this house?
So we've finished 3 of 3 homes now for our first project. The first home took about a month and a half, and that was with our learning curve, getting the crew trained, understanding the design process, getting efficiencies, all that. The second one was a lot better. The second one was about 3 weeks. And then by the time we got to our third home, we were able to do that in a week, which was really nice.
Wow, 1 week and house.
Yeah, to print all the walls and everything. And yeah, and we had a small crew too, so it was very efficient.
Yeah.
It was great.
And third house that you built during 1 week, how big
that was 900 square feet. 900
square feet.
Yeah.
It's 1 week, guys. 1 week, 900 square feet. It means that you can build house 2,000 square feet during 2 weeks, even 10 days. Yes. It's very, very, very fast. Yeah.
And with this printing, what happens is if you have the printer has a problem, or the pump has a problem, or the person that's working on the inside, if any one of those systems doesn't work, then everything stops. And if you're on a traditional frame home, then you could have the drywall guy have to go home sick for the day, everybody else keeps working. So I think it's really important to notice that with this 3D printing, it's about efficiency and having each step in order and working together. This industry has had a lot of people spend a lot of money trying to get their own proprietary concrete. And what we found was that working with some of the big producers has been a lot better. They have their own development labs, their own research teams.
What special type of concrete did you use for this project?
So we used a product called Amerimix, and this was a company that developed a specialized mortar for use in 3D printing. They have a lot of experience doing general use concrete, and for this one they had to do something that had a quick activation to where it would cure, but not cure too soon before coming out of the pump. So they had to do a lot of experimentation with how fine the aggregate was, and then how quickly it was going to cure so it wouldn't crack.
What is the difference between this part of concrete for slab that we use it all time and that concrete for 3D printing?
So one of the primary differences is going to be the aggregate size, how fine it is. And so you see with these treated slabs that it's very fine and very compact. And then on the other hand, with this concrete that's coming out of a pump, it has to be more pliable at first. And it has probably more air inside as it mixes, and then it also has larger aggregate.
It's it feels like foam.
Yeah.
It's like foam concrete.
Exactly, it's like a foam concrete. So you have the insulation properties and the strength, but you don't have the density quite as much, and that allows it to cure and not crack at the rate it needs to build a wall.
Okay, guys, today is September 12th, is the most hottest month in the Texas. And honestly, I feel it's very good inside of house. House is not completed yet, but it's like I feel fresh air and a little bit cold.
One of the great things about using 3D printed concrete is that the R values are very high. So the efficiency is multiple times better than a normal stick build. And our R values mean that we need only a fraction of the size of a heater and air conditioner to cool and heat the same amount of space. And it also means that temperature is going to dissipate far more slowly in either direction depending on the temperature outside. So the actual build and the HVAC system are set up pretty similarly to a regular traditional build. And
will you install here a split system, or it will be a usual traditional HVAC system for whole house, and where it will be located in interior unit and exterior units? How you will install it here?
Yeah, so what we did is we have a single sloped roof, and that leaves a gap at the front of the house and the ceiling.
Is that gap? Yeah. Okay.
And so it leaves you a space where you can install the unit inside, and then you can just run the piping through the ceiling, similar to other houses and how we have the plumbing.
Same suppliers, returns, everything you will put inside of.
Correct. Yep. So I think the best example is to think of it like a Ferrari. A Ferrari is a lot faster, it looks better, it has a lot of pros to it. But if you're driving a Ferrari fast and you mess up, you're going to crash and you're going to have a lot of problems. And that's kind of how this technology works. If you don't have a team that has a diverse skill set, you're going to run into an issue that somebody's not going to know how to fix, and then the entire operation has to shut down. And if you don't have a team that's very efficient, where everybody knows what their role is, when it needs to be done, and then how to work together, it just doesn't work, because this is all about efficiencies. And so I'd say the biggest challenge is going to be getting a team together that has the sophistication to be technologically good, to be engineering strong, to have people who can do finish out, who can do the building, who can do metal work, and that just all has to work together. And if any one of those doesn't work, then the whole operation has to stop.
Okay, same like we built a steel frame house. It was very, very difficult to find right team for this work, but how huge was your challenge to find correct team?
Yeah, well, because you have to have somebody who's so good at computers and at doing the 3D slicing for it to work with the printer. So you have to have somebody that's pretty tech heavy on your team, and that's challenging to get the tech part and the construction knowledge together in one. So I think that's definitely something that people should be aware of. But if you come with the right team, there's so many benefits that it's not impossible. It's a very steep learning curve. The first project you do is not going to be easy. It's not going to come out smoothly. But in our 3 homes, we saw drastic progress from the first to the second, and then even more progress from the second to the third. So it is doable, but there are challenges, and it's learning multiple new technologies together. And then I would also say, as kind of a funny anecdote, the first time we had an electrician come out here to look, he said, "This is amazing, but we don't even have the tools for this yet in my industry because it's so new." And so part of this is troubleshooting and figuring out how the different trades can work their skill set into what we're doing.
Ryan, I am very big fan of cantilever design. Yeah, I do a lot of cantilever parts in my houses. But I notice here it's a column. Sometimes we cannot do cantilever, we have to make columns. And when I do columns, usually I cover it with something. Here I see it's beautiful column. My question, did you install here inside some metal part or wood part, or it's just concrete column?
No, you're absolutely right. I like the cantilever as well, and we have that on our third home. For 2 of these homes, we decided to try the column look. And the nice thing is we were able to print this at the same time as the house. And it was just one file that would continue and then keep printing. And then at the end of it, we were able to put a metal beam down. And that gave it some structural support also. And then you fill those columns with grout. And so that keeps everything from shifting around inside. So you have the vertical strength, and then it won't move anywhere else.
Okay, nice. Do you need to protect with something this concrete when we use it for outside? Do we need to protect seal or something?
You know, concrete has been used by the Romans for thousands of years, and it's lasted. So I'm sure you could get away with not sealing it. What we're leaning toward is sealing it, just to make sure everything is nicely done. It doesn't have any water leaks, but you could really go either way with that.
I noticed that you covered part of house with stucco. Why you did it? Why you cover it and close this beautiful design?
Yeah, I know. We're losing all of our layers. No, this was actually based on the area. And in this area, we've had a lot of people that like the adobe and the stucco look. And I don't know if that's from a Texas thing or some people that see it in Mexico, but it's really been an aesthetics thing that we just like the look of it. In the future, we might try some without. For now, we're going to give this a shot and see what it looks like with some paint on top.
Do you have a 3D visualization design of this house?
Yeah, so part of the process of creating the file to do the printing is to get a three-dimensional file that has everything down, and then it goes by the individual layer, so you can see exactly where everything's going to be on a file beforehand.
Can we do different size of this layer?
Yeah,
it can be small or bigger, yeah?
Yeah, so the printer can change how fast it goes, how thick it is, how wide it is. So you can change all those
dimensions.
dimensions.
Can do a design like that?
Yeah.
Wow.
We tried to do that on one wall and had mixed results. It was
I noticed flower bed. It looks beautiful.
Oh,
it looks like flexible, very, very flexible shape of this flower bed. Guys, look at this feature. It's a flower bed. It's planter. Can you imagine if you build it from wood or from metal? It's impossible to build like that. Ryan, how you create it? How you create this design? Why you create this design?
The great thing about this 3D printing is you can draw it in a CAD file, and your idea comes to life over here. We basically just decided we wanted something attractive and different out front. Flower bed was perfect, and all it really took was one simple change in the design, and then that got added to the print file. And a couple hours later, we had a flower bed.
Wow! I think Salvador Dali will be very happy.
Yeah. We're going to do one of his melted clocks.
Yeah. It's nice, guys. It's a beautiful part. And look at this. Here is layer very thin, has very small thickness. Yeah, you see? It's half inch. Yeah, half inch. Yeah. I think the future of design with 3D printing is to make its unusual, unique designs. Because, okay, technology is one part of houses, but design is second part. It's the most important part. People like unique design. That's why we have to create something special.
I agree.
And next time, I hope you will build house for me.
We would love to.
Yeah,
thank you so much, Igor.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan, for your explanation and that you share so big, interesting question with us.